January 20th marked the start of a new era in Washington, to say the least. It's now exactly 50 days since President Trump took his oath of office, and he's well on his way to making America great again. Now let's take a quick look back at some of the most substantial moments from the last 50 days.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. Now arrives the hour of action.
First one is withdrawal of the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
We've been talking about this for a long time. Thank you. Keystone Pipeline. Beginning today, the United States of America gets back control of its borders, and this is the protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. Today I am keeping another promise to the American people by nominating Judge Neil Gorsuch of the United States Supreme Court. Mike Flynn is a fine person, and I asked for his resignation. There was a certain amount of information given to Vice President Pence, and I was not happy with the way that information was given.
The President of the United States.
So I am calling on all Democrats and Republicans in Congress to work with us to save Americans from this imploding Obamacare disaster.
Mr. President, do you still have confidence in the Attorney General, sir?
Total.
When were you aware that he spoke to the Russian ambassador?
I wasn't aware at all. I'm proud to support the replacement plan released by the House of Representatives that will lower costs, expand choices, increase competition, and ensure health care access for all Americans. This is the time we're going to get it done.
All right, Juan, it's halftime. 50 days out of the first 100. Executive orders on immigration, rolling back regulations, Supreme Court, TPP pullout, tackling Obamacare, tax reform. We're only 50 days in.
Yeah, and you forgot. I mean, you could also talk about things like TPP, I liked a lot. Dakota Pipeline, right? Keystone Pipeline, those were good things, right? I think he's also, I mean, I know not everybody is crazy about her, but Betsy DeVos at education, I'm crazy about someone who's a school choice proponent. Those are good things. So, I mean, I think there's some good, but I mean, if you ask me overall, what I remember...
Can someone get the Juan Williams out of the real Juan Williams out of the green room?
Where is he? He's in a closet somewhere.
Right, who's holding Juan Williams hostage in the back row?
No, but if you're asking me what I want to be, you know what? He's my president, too.
There you go.
So I want to be fair, but I will say what I remember, if you ask me what I remember is the wiretap stuff. President Obama wiretapped him with no evidence. Tax reform? Where's tax reform?
I'm waiting for that.
Oh, okay. What about something like the wall? I don't see it. I don't see it. What about Mike Flynn? I think we dealt with that in the montage. What about the plan to get rid of ISIS? Right. What about a billionaire cabinet?
What about I get Greg in here and let's talk about some of the... I mean, he bit off a lot of pieces of the pie.
He's the Federal Express of presidents, because this is probably the fastest delivery on promises. Whether you like the promises or not, the fact that they happen quickly, he made President Obama look like snail mail at this pace. And I always go back to the fact that I think he treats this like a job. So he gets up in the morning, he puts on his uniform, and he goes and he does this stuff. And I don't think he thinks like a politician where, hey, I do one thing every 3 days, and then that's enough. And then you look at what happened with the jobs numbers, which are pretty big. You got 95,000 new jobs in manufacturing, 58,000 in construction. So he's not making America great again. He's making America make America great again, because they are actually making things, which is one of his campaign promises.
Kennedy, Greg points out some of the jobs. By the way, 152,528,000 people, Americans, working right now. Guess what that is?
That's the labor force participation rate improving.
And you know what else that is? That's a record. An all-time record.
And I think as long as the economy continues to improve and he's got these good jobs numbers and, you know, other economic indicators, that's going to be a net positive for him. And it's interesting because although Juan points out some of the scandals, whether it's, you know, wiretapping, Mike Flynn, those things tend to go away because people have a shorter attention span for those. But for things that really matter, and that is the bottom line, as long as that continues to improve, people will see this presidency positively. And if he can take that into 2018 and pass a new health care bill and tax reform, holy moly, Eric Bolling, you might be talking about a successful presidency.
Is he doing anything wrong?
Well, look, I think what's important So there has been these accusations that he's not doing enough, that not enough is getting done. So I think it's smart from his team, and I think it also shows the impact of bringing on a new communications director, even branding this as the first 50 days of action and pushing out this information, combating the narrative that there's not been enough done. But look, I think there's been, confidence matters. And we've seen a lot of confidence in terms of the economy. And the economy is what is going to inoculate President Trump from criticisms. That's what's going to get him reelected if he can boost the economy. And what have we seen? We've seen a 15-year high in consumer confidence. We've seen a great jobs numbers, I think a decade high in construction jobs added as well. We've seen these business roundtables that he's held with these leaders, with these business leaders, which also helps with confidence because he's meeting with them. He's talking about rolling back regulations. He's talking about these things that are going to help boost the economy. So, and we've seen the Dow hit record high as well. And so, we're seeing a lot of signs of confidence on what the Trump administration is going to bring.
Let me bring it to Wanda. Why is the media just relentlessly trashing the guy when we're talking about some of the most important things to the people, to the voters, are jobs, the economy, making life better for themselves and their families.
Well,
and it's working.
Well, I don't know that it's working. I mean, I would say on jobs, and I would just point this out to everybody at the table, you look at the record of accomplishment, you say, oh my gosh, 4.7% unemployment. I think that's what Obama took it to at one point, was 4.7. And it's just 1/10 of a percentage point down from what Obama had it last month, right? So, I mean, okay.
Okay, but here's the difference. If I can just point this out very quickly and clarify that, because this is really important. Wages are actually going up. And
they were going up at the end of Obama.
Yeah, but you know what? This president is going to get credit for that, and also the labor force participation rate. That is a more essential and truthful barometer than the unemployment number itself.
I just know unemployment's been around since my whole life, right? And that's what. But I will also ask this of you, Gregory.
Yes.
You were saying compared to Obama, and I think, wait a minute, let's go back to 2009. Obama, by this point, had an $800 billion stimulus plan to get us out of recession. Plus, he had passed the women's pay equity. I know.
I was against that, too, as you know.
And get clean water. And
I hate everything good.
But I mean, compared to Obama,
poison the water in Flint.
Yeah.
You like that?
But Juan, there is a downside to this this increase in labor participation. There are fewer people who are going to protest because they'll be working, and you're going to have to start creating more days, like women's a day without women, so that they can take time off to protest because now they have jobs.
That's how you really make the unemployment number go down. You count the protesters as employed.
And they do. Some of them do get paid.
Talk to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and say, these protesters should be counted.
But to Juan's point, confidence really does matter, because if businesses feel that the economic climate is going to get better, that we're going to see this decrease in regulations that have been keeping them down, that have been preventing them from wanting to grow and expand, that matters. And we're seeing signs of confidence throughout the market, as I mentioned earlier, whether it's consumer confidence, whether it's businesses announcing the fact that they're going to stay in America, that they're going to keep jobs in America. All this stuff matters because it adds up, and we win at the end.
And at some point, though, it's going to have to be more than theoretical optimism. Agreed. It's going to have to be more than promises. You're going to have tax reform, and they're going to have to chip away at financial regulations.
Absolutely.
Dismantling parts of Dodd-Frank. Sorry, Juan.
I agree with you 100% that a lot of these numbers, the jobs numbers, the employers putting on more employment, people spending, all these things are based on that tax reform. And they're going to have a bit of a dance here, the Trump administration, because you want to make sure Obamacare gets fixed, not only repealed but replaced, but you also want to have time for that tax reform. And for some stupid reason, Congress can't figure out how to do both at the same time. Procedurally, they can't do it. Now, Juan, you spent a lot of time in D.C. Why can't they do two things at once?
Wait a second. I'm so curious. So you're attacking Republican leadership in Congress? I thought that people in the Freedom Caucus were your pals.
The Freedom Caucus are my pals, and I think they're right on.
Well, they're opposed. Right. Well, they're opposed.
Not let the GOP, what do you call it, Rhino Care bill pass through to get it through so you can get to the next step.
I tell you what, talk to Greg and talk to Lisa, talk to Kennedy, because I don't want to get in the middle of a family feud.
Okay.
I don't think it stopped you before the
I'm all for fixing.
The real answer is there's no answer. Why can't Congress do two things at once?
I think they actually are. There are some procedures that's why they're breaking it down. And I don't think they're lying to anybody about it. They're telling people this is how it's going to be done. And remember, I mean, you call it Rhino Care, but President Trump wasn't the most conservative candidate up there. That was Ted Cruz. I think the big news to come from these numbers, okay, they're not blowing everybody's mind. It just shows that the country is resilient, that the media can create a hysterical narrative about President Trump, that the world's going to hell, everything's the apocalypse. But the country keeps going. The jobs are growing, unemployment's coming down. America keeps going, even though the media says it's disastrous. So I think that it's a story about a country, not just about a politician.
And it's interesting, how is Nancy Pelosi going to spin positive jobs numbers without looking like she's against American workers, which is the biggest problem the Democrats have right now?
She'll find a way.
Yeah, isn't that what they did to
never doubt
Obama?
old Nan.
Isn't that what they did to Obama?
And she'll do it with a straight face.
Oh, my God.